Welcome to this presentation of the worst banks when you're a power of attorney, guardian, trustee, conservator, or executor. Story time. Mary was a successful business owner and a smart and savvy investor. She got a diagnosis of rapidly progressing dementia. She found a POA form online, that's power of attorney, and signed it before a notary. A lot of times these internet POAs may work, but not always. Anyway, she named her daughter Dana and did a great job of showing her everything. Lists of accounts, statements, all of the logins. With so much online, she gave Dana access to her email and a password to her phone. She even took Dana to the banks and introduced her daughter. She then picked out a nice nursing home and moved herself in. Shortly thereafter, Mary's condition significantly worsened. Dana needed to pay for her mother's care. Each bank had a process to acknowledge the power of attorney so Dana could access the funds. It usually took somewhere in 2 to 4 weeks, except for one bank. Let me introduce you to Big Online Bank offering high-yield savings accounts. This wasn't some generic no-name bank. This was a big investment firm with brand appeal. And Mary had 10 accounts there, but they were all online. There were no public branches, at least nowhere close by. There was a corporate office downtown, but only with locked floors. So the only way to talk to them was through a general customer service phone line where you got a different person each time. Dana followed all directions from whoever she spoke to that day. But each time she called for status, the person said, "We don't see anything in the record." Months later, she got returned mail saying, "No address found" or "Return to sender." And there was no way to email or fax, just that P.O. box and snail mail. It turns out the bank's website had outdated forms with the wrong address. So now Dana sent everything to the new P.O. box, but when she called to follow up, they now denied it based on small details. She kept fixing and resending, fixing and resending. She even tried walking the paperwork into the local office, but was told by the receptionist to make an appointment. But then when she tried to call and make an appointment, they said, "We don't make appointments." Dana was in endless loop for 8 months. Meanwhile, Mary was running out of money. Dana had no choice. She wasn't able to do this by herself, so she hired an attorney. The attorney sent a demand letter to Big Bank with all of the same paperwork Dana had already sent, but cited the law under the Uniform Power of Attorney Act. Banks have 7 days to accept a POA or request certification. After getting the certification, they have 5 days to accept the POA. Trust me, Big Online Bank knew this and didn't have to be told. Well, there were more hoops, and Dana never got access to the account information. But months later, an email shows up in Mary's inbox, and fortunately, Dana could still access her mom's email. It simply said, "Mary, your accounts have been closed." That might be a bit alarming and cryptic. It turns out Online Bank closed the accounts without checking with anyone and sent a big check. In the end, 3.90% APR and interest wasn't all that great after factoring in the legal costs to access the funds. Let's switch gears and talk about the best banks for fiduciaries. A fiduciary is a power of attorney, a guardian, a trustee, a conservator, or an executor. Features of a good bank. 1. You can walk into a branch and talk to the branch manager if you need to. 2. You can establish a relationship face-to-face or voice-to-voice with an individual banker. 3. There's good online access for your convenience, like depositing checks. 4. They offer a fiduciary debit card so you don't have to use your own cards and keep those lines clean. 5. No monthly fees, especially in Medicaid cases where there's very minimal money in the account. 6, and my personal plug, especially if you're working with our office, is the ability to download data into a spreadsheet. This makes our reporting and accounting much faster and accurate, which translates into lower fees for you. Some banks do offer downloads, but they cut off your data at 3 months, for example, and you may need access to the last 3 years worth of data. I hope you don't get stuck in P.O. Box Black Hole in the middle of nowhere, USA. It might be fine to online bank while you're alive and have full capacity, but think about your future decision makers, your spouse, your agent under a power of attorney, and their ability to access this or difficulty. On the flip side, if you really want to see your accounts are locked down and keep people out unless they force legal action and prove that they have proper authority, these banks might be just for you. There's always a positive and a negative, right? Thank you for watching this presentation of the worst and best banks when you're a guardian, conservator, power of attorney, or executor. As per usual, consult with an attorney in your jurisdiction for advice specific to your situation, and let us know if we can help. This story time is a work of fiction. Any resemblance to actual events or locales, persons, or businesses, living or dead, is entirely coincidental.